Hi, it's Lani Muelrath, and I am here in Oaxaca, Mexico, where we have been on holiday. And I've had the wonderful, serendipitous opportunity to find myself a community with a lot of extraordinary people. And one of those people is John Harlin here to my side. And John is a person who has, in his life, overcome some obstacles to have extraordinary achievement. And it's evidenced in his work, The Eiger Obsession, which is a book, and there's been a movie made about this process, and he's a world-class mountain climber. And I would just like it if, John, could you tell us a little bit about your experience with the mountain climb? For example, when was that? When did that event take place?
My own climb took place in 2004 when I was 49, but what sort of made it more special to most people is that 40 years prior, exactly, my father died on the same mountain, and he fell 4,000 feet when his rope broke on that mountain. And he was already very well known for climbing that mountain. He was the first American to climb it, it's the Eiger in Switzerland, and it has the tallest face in the Alps, which means a steep wall. It's about 6,000 feet, and so he became obsessed with climbing the peak as the first American to do it, and then putting up a new route on it, and he became very well known for his climbs there, and in particular on the Eiger. And then when he died on it, it became one of the great events in mountaineering history. A lot of books and things.
Yeah, it's a very famous event. Well, how many times had he been up the mountain before the fall that took his life?
He'd been up it once by a different route, the same route that I climbed 40 years later, and then he made many attempts, at least 2 attempts a year over the 4 years, so probably 8-10 times.
Now, didn't you get a warning from your mother or not to climb, or didn't you promise her you weren't going to? Well, then how did you overcome that obstacle to overcome the obstacle of the mountain? Because that's a tough one.
Well, the biggest obstacle for me was the psychological hurdle of climbing it, because, well, there was Dad's death, of course, and when I got back into climbing, he was 10, I was 10 or 9 years old, but just about to turn 10 when he died, and then for about a decade or so I didn't climb, and then I fell in with the climbing crowd and started climbing. That became my
bad
passion.
Boys climbing.
And so then I immediately thought, oh, I want to climb the Eiger, because Dad was so connected with it. It was a way for me to connect with Dad in a way, and then I was on my way over to climb it in 1979, and my own partner fell to his death on a climb we were doing together in Canadian Rockies. Well, it was a real climb. But
it was preparing for the event.
For the Eiger, right. And so that just became, when I saw that the effect that had on my mother, and I realized that if I were to be the one to die climbing, that it would probably kill her. I just figured I shouldn't be doing it. I shouldn't be climbing at that level of ambition that I had at that time. And so I decided to rein it way back, and I continue rock climbing, but not in the dangerous mountains.
But in the back of your head, you knew that was going to someday occur for you?
Someday, and it was always felt inevitable, and then just became more and more inevitable. And eventually a friend of mine talked me into doing an alpine climb, and I just said, oh, I've got to do some of those. And as soon as I did, I just realized that of all the mountains in the world, there's just one that I had to climb, and that one was it. But the psychological hurdle, the fear of the mountain, and the horrible consequences that can come from things going wrong, on family in particular, on myself, yes, but mostly on family.
Well, that's a tough part of the decision, isn't it?
Right, and so in some ways what I had to overcome was I had to become selfish enough to do it for my own sake, which, that's just sometimes, in order to accomplish things that you really want you have to focus enough to be able to put that first.
Now, I noticed in the film that you said that when you got to the section of the mountain that your father fell on, that you could feel so much of that burden of the experience of that falling away. So has that stayed with you to this time? Does it come and go?
It stayed pretty well. I mean, the fact is I want to keep climbing. I have a passion for climbing, but I feel that I don't have a need to climb any particular thing like I did.
Like you did.
That one I had to do.
And here we have the mountain too. So you can see in the video the face that you climbed, is it over here?
Yes, right behind this
Okay.
photo. This is Dad with me as a
Oh.
child, and then me with Sienna.
And the film was that produced via IMAX or?
Yes, it was.
So
an IMAX
and
film.
it was called The Eiger Obsession, or what was the
No,
name
the
of
film
this?
is called The Alps.
The Alps, because
and
it
it's
was
an
something
IMAX
with a
movie.
Swiss travel connection
Oh,
too.
they
was in
helped support it, and we did a lot of
Okay.
traveling around Switzerland in the process.
there. Yeah.
And it's still playing in some American theaters, and in fact in beginning of June I'm going to introduce it in Australia, because it's playing around the world.
Yeah. Well, I know the book is available. Actually, I just put the book up on my blog. It's going to carousel at the bottom because it's available in paperback May 19th, I believe.
Oh, and
So
the
there's
book
a
is
place to pick it up.
The film is available on DVD also.
Okay, great. So Netflixers, we can go there probably.
I suppose I haven't looked, but
Well, thank you so much for your time today. An inspirational story, and again, overcoming obstacles for great accomplishment in our lives. And thank you very much, John.
thank you.
That's to
Pleasure.
you.